Om Vakradunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhyarthavatu me sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastama Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Atha Chaturthodhyayaha.
Atha Chaturtho Dhyayaha.
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha.
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha.
Shloka number 18. Karmanya karmayah pashyet.
Karmanya karma pashyet. Karmanya karma yah pashyet.
Akarmani cha karmayah.
Akarmani cha karma yaha.
Sabuddhiman manushyeshu.
Sabuddhiman manusyeshu.
Sayukta Krishna karma krita.
Sayukta Krishna karma krita.
An important shloka that we can understand from the explanation. How detailed is the explanation. Karmani akarma pashyati. Akarmani karma pashyati. Taha buddhiman. It's a vice versa. Yanisha sarvabhutana pashyati. Yasyam jagati sayyam. The second chapter, Chitapriya Lakshana, similar to that. Yanisha sarvabhutana tasyam jagati sayyam. Yasyam jagati bhutani. Sanisha Pashyato Munehe. That person is Buddhiman Munihi Yuktaha Krishna Karma Kritu. So, therefore, what is karma? What is akarma? That is all started. Kim karma? Kim karmi? Tavayaha api atra mohitaha. Karmanaha api bodhavyam. What is karma that should be known? And what is akarma that also should be understood. So, therefore, karmanaha bodhavyam, vikarmanaha bodhavyam, akarmanaha bodhavyam. All these are elaborated. What is karma? Karma is action. Simple meaning. Kriya to karma. Karma being doing. Still, the person not the doer. Even though he does, he's not the doer. It means the karma, the person said to be doing karma, not because he physically acts, not because even he mentally entertains thoughts. Katrutvam is there. Ahankara is not there. Presence or absence of ahankara, that alone accounts for karma. Because when karma is there, action will have its result, karma pala. And action always will be accompanied by the result, karma pala. Karma pala could be drishta or adrishta. The immediate drishta palma could be adrishta in the form of papa punya. So, therefore, just by the physical action or mental thoughts, you cannot say the person doing karma. Karma implies ahankara. Only then a person is said to be doing karma. Otherwise, in spite of doing, he doesn't do karma. Because kartrutvam nasti, ahankarta iti abhimana nasti. Therefore, who does karma then? Ego cannot say I do. Because ego itself cannot sustain without Atma. So, therefore, Atma cannot do, and ego cannot sustain without Atma. Therefore, ego cannot say I do. This who knows this fact is the Stakarmukta, is Buddhivan Tahai. So, therefore, what makes a difference between the Jnani and Ajnani is this factor of this Ahankara. Ahankara because of Ajnana. Because of Ahankara, there is Kartrutva, Vimana, Bhoktritva. Kartrutva means therefore Karma Pala, Bhokta Bhavati. Jaha Karta, Saga Bhokta Bhavati. Ajnana. This logic is applicable only to Ajnana. Yaha Karta, Saga Bhokta Bhavati. Jnani doesn't have Kartrutva. The semblance of karma. Therefore, Bhoktana Bhavati. So, Yaha Karta, Saga Bhokta Bhavati. The one who does, he becomes the enjoyer. A Jnani is also seen doing karma from the Lokadrishti, from the standpoint of the people. He also seems to be doing karma. But the Jnani, not affected by karma. Karma pala doesn't touch. So this logic, karta, yaha karta bhavati, saha bhokta na bhavati. Because he is not karta. Because he is not karta. Otherwise, this logic holds good. So, yatra yatra kartrutvam, tatra bhoktrutvam. And kartrutvam implies agankara. Agankara because of ajnana. And ajnana is goes away in the wake of jnana. Agankara also goes away, or agankara becomes negated. Put it in properly negated. Agankara will be there, where it will go, as Swami said before. It is negated, it is badita. Agankara becomes bhushana, abhushana, an ornament. It is no more an hissing agankara, it becomes a tamed agankara. So, therefore, the here, continuing the topic further, talk about knowledge and error. Knowledge and error. Knowledge and error cannot coexist. That kartrutva abhimana is error. And knowledge is knowledge of Atma, knowledge of one's own nature. So they cannot coexist. Therefore, knowledge and error cannot coexist. Therefore, action cannot exist in inaction. Inaction cannot exist in action. The person is acting, then he's not acting. If he's not acting, he's acting. The contradiction is that its contradiction is that we explain only through knowledge, that is jnanam and ajnanam. Error. They cannot coexist. Shraddha is not doing anything at the same time being totally alive to the pramana, having abundant prejudices about you, the world, and the God. Jiva Jagat Ishvara. In fact, it is Shraddha. We are picking up the thread from the previous paragraph, that is, Pramana is talked about, therefore Shraddha. In fact, it is Shraddha that grants you this type of exposure. It is the attitude behind the exposure that brings on the knowledge. And against this knowledge, its ego is helpless because it is an error. It's a mistake. Ego is a mistake caused by ajnana. That has been corrected by the knowledge. Knowledge is compared to light and error to darkness. They cannot coexist. Therefore, akarma and karma coexisting is not possible. It cannot coexist. Akarma and karma. Akarmani karma, karma and karma. Therefore, we have to explain what is akarma, what is karma. We take literally the meaning, they cannot coexist. And how do we explain? That is, because the further second line says, Sabuddhiman, Saka yuktaha Krishna karma. Therefore, the literal meaning of the word cannot be taken. Akarma, karma. Inaction and action, action and action. It will be like Yanisha Sarabhutana. That shloka. So literal meaning cannot be taken. What does it mean? That is because Buddhiman is talked about, therefore knowledge is talked about. So the person of knowledge, he sees akarma in karma in akarma. Talks about perspective of the jnani. So the jnani as jnanam, therefore ajnanam not there. And ajnani, to put this shloka other way also. Other way, karmani karma pashyet. Akarmani akarma pashyet. That is ajnana. Seeing the action superficially as it is. That is error. So, though the shloka seems, the word seems to be contradictory, it's not contradiction. There's no contradiction. The contradiction, if you see, that is the error. There is no contradiction. In fact, it is knowledge. So, the erroneous perception is removed by the knowledge of oneself. So, therefore, the first line is not a contradiction. No error is capable of standing as a coexistent partner to knowledge because knowledge and error cannot coexist. Nor can the error come back once knowledge has taken place. Once this jnanam takes place, kartrutva vimana goes away, ahankara is sublated, then ahankara cannot come back. It is like a roasted seed. A roasted seed cannot sprout. A seed will sprout, a fresh seed. But if it is roasted, it will not sprout. So ahankara is like that. Ahankara, we say it's like a burnt rope. It cannot bind a person anymore. An object of error cannot return to the same locus where knowledge already is. You may question this statement using the rope snake example. You may mistake a piece of rope for a snake and remove the error by seeing that the snake is actually a rope. But the very next day, you may again make the same error. This is possible. This is possible because the existence of both the rope and snake depends on a means of knowledge, your perception. Because a defect in your perception can occur again. It is because of the defect in your perception pramana. Chakshurindriya doesn't function properly. Therefore, error can occur again. Whereas the existence of Atma doesn't depend on Paurishaya Pramana, doesn't depend on any Pramana. First of all, the self is not seen by you, it's not available with Chakshu Pramana, not and then recognized as in the case of the rope snake. So, this another important thing, the rope snake example is confused with this. Rope snake example, the Drishtanta is there, Pratyaksha Pramana is involved, whereas with regard to Atma, it is not Pratyaksha, it is Shastra Pramana. The self always is, and also the Atma is always ever existent. Therefore, once known, you cannot do the mistake again. Once Ajnanam goes away, once a mistake is corrected, mistake cannot be repeated. So once the ignorance about the nature of self is removed, there is no question of ignorance coming back. With reference to objects out of sight, with reference to objects, out of sight can be out of mind. But Atma cannot be out of mind. It's either out of sight or out of mind. You may be out of mind, but you can never be out of Atma, the self. Because the self is not what is meant when people talk about psychological self, biological self, anatomical self, familial self, or genetic self. So not self is Atma. All these selves are Mithya. These are subject to defects of every kind, genetic, pathological, physiological, and mental. Therefore, such a self is always unacceptable to you. Even anatomically, you cannot accept yourself. Your nose is not of the right shape, your hair is not of the right color, and so on. But this is not what we are discussing here. The self, the Atma, is different from all this. Everything is a self, and therefore there is no way of being out of oneself. When the ignorance goes away, the ego also goes away. In terms of knowing, I am not the ego. The ego that comes after this knowledge has taken place. It's not the same ego, it is an enlightened ego. It's not the same ego that was there before. It has become an enlightened ego, informed ego, humbled ego. It is knowledgeable ego. Because there is knowledge that there is no real self-existent ego. You refer to it as enlightened, Jivan Muktaha. one who is liberated while living. This is the person that Krishna refers to as a Buddhiman. Because Buddhiman is in the shloka, therefore the first line is it's not contradictory, it is the vision of the person. Correct vision. The corrected vision, the mistake was corrected vision. The one who has corrected the vision. Previously, dosha darshanam. Mistake. There's a defect in the seeing. Now clear perception. So clear perception, the Buddhiman has. So he is the person referred to. Second line, Eka Buddhiman. Saga Buddhiman Manushya. But he is a person who sees. The other person, in spite of having eyes, they don't see. Yanishasara Bhutana. They don't see. Having eyes, they don't see. And Jnani sees not with the eyes, without the physical eyes. Even if the eyes closed, he sees. This is also like the first line of the shloka, contradictory, but the meaning to be understood. Seeing is not with the physical eyes. It is Atma Darshanam. Knowing I am not the doer has nothing to do with action. Buddhiman, the wise person, is one who sees that even the so-called akarma, not doing inaction, is nothing but karma. Yaka akarmani karma pashyet saha buddhiman. Akarmani karma pashyet seems to be contradictory. How can he be buddhiman? Here, what is akarma? Akarma already discussed. So, agankara is there, therefore karma only. So, therefore, as long as agankara is there, even though the person is not physically acting, he is doing only. Maybe sitting also is doing a piece of effort. That is what makes difference. Therefore, Sakabuddhiman, vision, a right understanding. And Atma being a karta, and because one understands this fact about Atma, he or she sees akarma in karma itself. And because of this fact, he is Buddhiman. Yaha karmani akarma pashyet saha buddhiman. So both ways. Akarmani karma yaha pashyet. Karmani akarma yaha pashyet saha buddhiman. Karmani karma yaha pashyet. Akarmani karma yaha pashyet saha buddhu. Is an ajnani. The person recognizes the fact of Atma being actionlessness, and that recognition really is recognition. It's not altered whether karma is done or not. This recognition has nothing to do with karma. It is recognition, yes, recognition of the Swarupa, the nature of Atma. You do not become a non-doer. You are already a non-doer. Another important thing. You don't become a non-doer. You are already a non-doer. As Atma, you are non-doer already. When we talk about the Swarupa of Atma, we say that the Atma is essentially a karma. This statement is made with reference to Kartrutvam, the doership, which is superimposed, Atyasta, Vyaropita, on the Atma due to Ajnana. Generally, one has the mistaken notion, Aham Karta, I am the doer. And the correction of this mistake makes you see that you are a Karta, that you are a Karta is in fact to be recognized. Therefore, we cannot ask when I will be able to become a Karta. You are already a Karta. As Atma, you don't do. As ego, you never stop doing. Nowhere it is said that you have to become a Karta, non-doer. Only then you will see a karma in karma itself. Therefore, there is no question of you are becoming a Karta. You are a Karta ever. Atma is a Karta. And to be a Karta, you only have to see the fact. Then you are a Buddhiman. Wise person among all people who have buddhis. A wise man among all people who have buddhis, but do not use them, but this person uses, therefore he is a Buddhiman. Understanding reality requires thinking. Buddhiman. Buddhi is intellect. The one who has buddhi, not only having buddhi, using it. So that person is a Buddhiman. Therefore, buddhi implies thinking, viveka, nitya vastu viveka. The meaning of Buddhiman is something like Dhanava. We have seen that before. A rich person, as we have said before. To have money doesn't mean that you are a rich man. Only if you have money to give, or you are a rich man. Money user should be able to give, should have heart to give. A man who has money to spend on himself and on others when necessary is a rich man. Whereas a man with money who doesn't think he has enough to spend on himself for a cause is simply a moneyed man. It's not a rich man. The difference between a moneyed man and rich man is important to understand. Yes, very beautiful thing. Who is rich? A person who is rich can be called rich, and he is rich in giving. Otherwise, he's just a moneyed man. He has got wealth. Rich man is one person is one who feels rich. Yes, richness, feeling. A man who has only a rupee in his pocket and gives it to someone who has not eaten for 2 days is a rich man, because although he has so little, he has money to spare. He has no money, but he's rich. He's ready to spend. Whereas another man may have millions of rupees and may not be able to spend it on himself or others. Such a person is moneyed, but not rich. In other words, he makes a kripana. Kripanaha, karpanidosha, karpanyadosho, padasvabhavaha, trichamitvam dharmasam, mudachetaha, the karpanidosha, kripana, Mason. James, the second chapter, we saw. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also, the word is kripana. Similarly, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the Yajnavalkya tells Gargi, the one who dies not knowing Brahma is a Mason. Yaha, Atmanam abhiditva asmat lokat praiti, saha kripanaha. Not here, but it is that's Vakya. One who having taken Janma here in this world, that the Manushya Janma, has not realized, has not understood the Swarupa, Atma iti. So that person is a Maisa. The one who dies not knowing Brahma is a Maisa. Having got Manushya Sharira and Mumuk, and therefore Manushya Shariram only through Manushya Shariram only moksha is possible. Knowledge is possible, self-knowledge. So having gained the Shariram, Atmanam abhiditva, asmat lokat preti, the one who leaves this world, that person is a kripanaha, saha kripanaha, bhavati, Vaisa. Kripanaha, kripanu, kripanaha, kripanaha, bhuj, kripanaha. Why is he or she considered Vaisa? Because the person had an intellect that he or she never used. Just as money is of no use to a person who will not spend it, only what is the use of having intellect? He cannot or will not use it. One who has a buddhi and doesn't spend it is also a Maisa. Buddhi is given just for use. So it is kept safe and locked. What is the use? That person is a miserly person, has a moneyed man. Such a person uses as little intellect as possible, keeping it as it is. A man may exercise his intellect just a little to learn something in order to please his parents. He may even get a job, but that is the maximum he is willing to use his intellect for. Doesn't read anything, not even the newspaper. He sits standing at the TV without using his intellect at all. Why should he use it for it? For this kind of life, we need not use it at all. No real thinking is ever done by such a person. Real thinking is thinking about the realities. Because you are dealing with reality, there must be thinking. Otherwise, you are dealing only with shadows. The realities are not known. You may be fighting in areas where no fighting is required. One who thinks about the fundamental reality of himself, the world, and the God, who knows what it is all about, is a Buddhiman. This person is rich. He or she has an intellect to use, to spare. The Buddhiman has used the Buddhi for himself or herself and share the knowledge gained with others. Thus, in this sloka, Bhagavan is saying, among the people, all of whom are Buddhists, this person is the only one who is wise, like a Buddhiman Manusheshu. He uses the intellect, therefore, he is Buddhiman, using his Buddhi, understands, and becomes free. Just as some people have money without being rich, some people have Buddhis without being wise. The Buddhiman, however, is a yogi, Krishna Karma Krita, one who has done all that is to be done. By discovering the Atma to be a Karta, the wise man has completely destroyed all the karmas. All the karmas are gone at the very moment he knows, he understands that Aham Atma Karta iti. The self being full, Purnaha, there's nothing more for this person to do at any time. The self as Akarta is not as sometimes fair. When the self is known to be a Karta, it will never become Karta again. So, therefore, nothing to be done. Purnaha Bhavati. Purnaha, Brahma Bhuta, Brahma Bhavati. It's already Purna. So, it recognizes Purna. So, when we say Atma is Asanga, we mean that it is free from being a Karta and Bhokta, which means it is free from Sukha Dukkha, Samsara. Therefore, Atma is always a Karta. When it is said that Atma is always Ananda, it means Atma is Purna, full, limitless. This knowledge makes a person Krishna karma. Everything that is to be done has been done in one stroke. Nothing needs to be done for the person to be happy. So this is something like in the, not something like, exactly same like in the Mandaka Upanishad. Tasminna Bhagavad Vigyate Sarvamidam Vigyatam Bhavati Saunaka Sagiras. What is that knowing? Wait, what is that one thing knowing which everything is known? Knowing one thing, that thing, everything is known. Is there any such knowledge? That is Brahma. Brahma Jnana is Sabhagnanam. Atma Jnana is Sabhagnanam Bhavati. There's nothing else to be known because everything is Atma. Similarly, he has done everything to be done in terms of doing also. Sarvakrisna Bhaktamakta, all the Purusharthas are accomplished when moksha is, when Purnatma moksha is gained. So what is that to be gained? Nothing to be gained. Therefore, he has done all that has to be done. Nothing needs to be done for the person to be happy. His discourse is fullness, happiness. Therefore, nothing needs to be done. Therefore, he has done everything to be done. One stroke. That is knowledge. Whatever karma the person had to do, had to fulfill by taking many births, have all been fulfilled. All karma has been completely taken care of. So no future birth and no karma left out. So no desires left out. Therefore, there will not be future janma. No desires left out. All desires are resolved in moksha ichcha and moksha is gained. And karma also gone. Therefore, he has nothing to do. He has reached. He has reached that destination. From that, there is no coming back. So any activity he or she undertakes later, now it is born of joy. Previously, it was out of pressure, out of dukkha, out of anxiety, out of the sense of incompleteness. Now it is born of joy. That's the difference. Ajnani acts out of non-fulfillment. Jnani acts out of fulfillment. Action being the same, but there's a huge difference. Therefore, action, any activity is born of joy, not for gaining some security or happiness. That is security. Security is Atma. Security lies in Atma, Ananda also. Therefore, there is no gaining of security and happiness. A person may continue to do the same thing he or she did before. But what one does, that doesn't alter the fact that one is the akartai. As long as there is a doer, a karta, there is action, even in so-called inaction. A wise man who is able to see this, because I am not doing anything also, implies a karta. Both karma and akarma become karma in the vision of the wise. Wherever there is doership, there is always some action or the other. Therefore, everything becomes action, be it inaction or action. So, kartrutvam is there. Therefore, it is karma. Karma is there. Physically doing or not doing. It is karma eva. The Buddhiman is able to see akarma in both karma and akarma, because for such a person there is no doership in the self. Atmani kartrutva bhava. He or she knows, while karta, the doer, is not separate from the self. Self is not the doer, because the person has this knowledge. He or she is said to be wise among human beings, and is described as one who has done everything to be done, everything that is to be done without exception. Saha buddhiman manusheshu saha krishna karma kriti. When there is no doer, there is no action. Doership not there, action not there. Even though the doing, maybe the doing not really doing, it's only a semblance of doing. We call karma abhasa. Semblance of doing. Where there is no kartrutvam, when there is no kartrutvam in the Atma, what karma is there for the person to do? If I am not the karta, how can I perform action? Even if all the four Vedas enjoy me. So we can understand the enjoyments of the Veda is only for those people who have the sense of kartrutvam. Only for the Jnanis, not for the Jnani. If a Jnani go beyond even the Vedas, Veda also as a pramanam is no more applicable, it's no more required for Jnani. This Veda also becomes Vidya for Jnani, not for Ajnani. If they say, "Oh Karta, please do this ritual," I can only respond if I am the Karta. But when someone says, John, please come here, only John will come, no one else. Just as an individual is being addressed here, so do the Vedas address the individual. Oh person, please do this karma. Do this, don't do this, iti. Do's and don'ts. And who is the person the Vedas are addressing now? Is it Sachidananda Atma or the Karta? They are definitely addressing the Karta, not Sachidananda Atma, because Atma is not the Karta. So, therefore, Veda addresses only the Ahankara, only the Karta. What happens if there is no Karta? You call, but there is no response, so there is no person present. The vice person doesn't respond because he is not a Karta. Only when there is a Karta, a doer, does the addressing of the Vedas have an effect. Otherwise, Veda also becomes useless. So Veda is useless for a Jnani. It is useful for an Ajnani. It is useful as for Ajnani as a Pramana, both Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Once the Pramana it has done its job, it becomes useless. How long you will have the Pramana? Once the fact is understood, the knowledge is gained, then Veda also is useless. So the enjoined karmas are also useless because we are all as well done for the Krishna Karma Kritu. Even Karma Yoga no longer applies to the wise man. So both Karma Yoga, that is Veda Purva as well as Vedanta, doesn't apply to the Jnani. That is why he is free. That is why sannyasa. He is released from all the karmas enjoined by the Vedas. Veda doesn't ordain karma, doesn't prohibit also. Because being jnani, he will not do any karma which are forbidden. He will not go against dharma. That becomes natural for the jnani. Therefore, there is no nishida karma. There is no the karma which is the ordaining of karma. So therefore there is no karma. Where it is vidya, or nemitika, or kamya, or nishidha. So therefore no karma is there for jnani. Therefore, the entire karma kanda of the Veda and the jnana kanda is no more applicable for the jnani. Therefore, the Veda addresses only the jnani. Even the mumukshus, even for the mumukshus, the Veda as a pramanam, the Vedanta as a pramanam is applicable as long as he has not discovered his nature. After that, the Veda also becomes useless. It is also nitya. Next one, next topic. There is no karma yogi. There is no karma yoga for the jnani. See, still a long way to go. Very long, detailed elaboration. Very long. This shloka goes on and on. Maybe a long commentary. Vashikara is, of course, Vashikara writes a long commentary, and here probably also explains, goes on and on, explaining. We'll continue. There is no karma yoga for the jnani. Next topic. Stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. धन्यवादः.